My name is Danny Forster, and this is Build It Bigger. Here she comes.
As a designer, I've traveled the world investigating amazing feats of construction.
And right now, I'm going to take you inside a set of buildings that are changing a country.
Azerbaijan is shedding its Soviet past, erecting over 30 buildings a year for the next 15 years.
Something very radical is happening here right now.
Yes, we're saying we're going to create that which is ours.
Starting with a groundbreaking cultural center, housing 3 state-of-the-art venues under one of the most curving roofs on the planet.
The range in different kinds of curves must be an enormous fabrication effort.
It's a nightmare.
And the world's first flame-shaped towers. Over 600 feet of curving concrete and steel will become this country's tallest buildings.
Man, the wind is strong.
Constructed in winds gusting over 90 miles an hour.
Where's she going? We're losing her. We're losing her.
All to create a new identity for this nation.
Oh my God, look at that. That is incredibly sketchy. I'm in Baku, the capital city of Azerbaijan, an ancient country located at the crossroads between Europe, Asia, and the Middle East.
Situated between the Black and Caspian Seas, Azerbaijan is surrounded by Iran, Turkey, and Russia, one of the most conflict-ridden areas on Earth.
Now, for the majority of Azerbaijan's history, they had been consistently under the rule of imposing neighboring empires, both Islamic and Soviet.
The city of Baku was home to the first oil well in history. The Soviets occupied it for more than 70 years, seizing half of the world's oil supply.
But in 1991, with the fall of the Soviet Union, Azerbaijan gained their political independence. And today, almost 20 years later, they're engaged in a different struggle, the creation of a cultural independence.
Relics of Soviet occupation still grip the city's over 2 million residents in the form of thousands of rigid, block-like structures, accounting for more than a third of Baku's skyline.
You see, these were all imposed on us by outside forces. So we were not in the driving seat, we were on the passenger seat, and we've been driven.
Right.
Driven somewhere. That's Azerbaijan's past history. That's what I think.
So it's about putting the past behind and searching for something new.
Absolutely.
Something very radical is happening here right now.
Yes, we have a sense of confidence in ourselves that we're saying, okay, now we're going to create that which is ours.
Determined to remake the Azeri identity, this 2,000-year-old, oil-rich city is undertaking one of the most ambitious construction projects in history. Spending $6 billion a year on over 500 new developments to transform an area 3 times bigger than Manhattan in just 15 years. They're starting with 2 of the most audacious projects. The world's first flame-shaped skyscrapers atop the highest point in the city, and the Heydar Aliyev Cultural Center, housing a museum, a national library, and a 1,200-seat performance hall. All under one flowing roof, unlike any in the world.
If you look at that building, it talks of our yearning for that which is new. If it was an authoritarian-style building with massive columns and massive stairs, that would make you feel less. That would say to you, you're nothing. You're under this authority.
So the very geometry of the building, the shape, the way it moves as you move around it, that is part of the process of redefining what Azeri culture is.
Absolutely. Find yourself in these movements.
Part of what makes this cultural center just so unique is that it's actually 3 different building types under one single roof. On the one hand, you have a museum, which is basically a sealed box in which to view art. But you also have a library, which is really a silent box in which to read books. And finally, you have a performance hall, which is really a very loud box in which to hear opera. So the challenge becomes, how do you serve the needs of 3 divergent building types who have oppositional needs all under one single roof?
The answer? Architects designed an intricate latticework of steel called a space frame. Rather than being held up by large columns, the space frame's interlocking triangular joints give support by transferring loads through tube steel. By eliminating the need for support structures below, architects bent the space frame in 3 dimensions, allowing them to completely separate all 3 venues. The space frame is an over 9-acre curving skeleton. Weatherproofing it requires over 3,600 individually cut panels, making it one of the most complex roofing projects ever attempted. Today, crews are installing the 2 highest panels, closing the gap at the very top of the roof.
So this is quite amazing because as the building pitches up in the very back, this incredible peak on top of the library, it's that apex of the arch that we're going to install this piece on.
That's it. Yeah.
You quite literally picked the highest point.
This is the highest point. You just came in at the right time, at the right moment.
Have you been up to this height before?
No, I've been up this building many times, but not up this high.
My most important question is, what are we going to be standing on? Because it looks like the blue steel is just totally exposed.
We would not be standing on anything. We would just be tying ourselves to the pipes. Lock ourselves in like mountain climbers, so there's nothing that you can hold.
I actually don't know how we are going to do this.
I really don't know as well. You give me courage. I don't know.
Yeah, if I'm giving you courage, then we're all screwed. Let me make that abundantly clear.
240 feet up, there is just no room for scaffolding. Instead, crews maneuver on top of the space frame, awaiting the 700-pound panel.
Okay, look at this. Our chariot awaits.
Let's go. Kim geliyor.
Clamp into my death. This is a bad idea, huh?
That's a good idea.
This is a bad idea wrapped in some beautiful roof architecture, though, huh?
4 ironworkers have to position each panel with just ½ an inch of tolerance.
Wow, look at this building. From this perspective, you can really appreciate what this building is. I mean, it's a single curve that just bends up, it peels down, it spins around, then finally comes up like a ski slope to make this extraordinary peak atop the building. There they are right there. Look at those guys, the 4 rock stars. All right. Oh, man. Okay, we're coming over top. We're coming over top. Wow, the wind is strong. Just tell them to back up a little bit. All right, good. Tell them to hang there. Oh, we're gonna slam. All right.
Each piece of tube steel is just 4 inches thick, the width of a balance beam.
The problem is this tube steel. It's slippery.
He's coming to help you out.
All right. Wait, hang on. I think for safety's sake, I'm gonna be here. Okay. Whoa. Wow. Let's get my leg up and over without falling back. Yeah. No? No. Stay here. Yeah. Okay.
You're fine.
Tekin is about, I don't have any brothers and sisters. Tekin is the closest thing I have right now to a brother in this world. We don't speak a word of the same language, but I truly love this man.
This roof section spans 9.5 feet. A gentle breeze on the ground becomes a 35-mile-an-hour gust up top.
Here it is, it's coming in.
Blowing this panel up to 6 feet in the Azeri wind.
Oh my God, look at that. That is actually incredibly sketchy.
The crew has to line up a bracket on each corner with 4 bolts on the space frame plate.
Just think about the precision that these guys have to deal with right now. This isn't just finishing the framing at the top of the building. This is the weather seal. This is this impervious, seamless edge that keeps water from getting into a library directly under where I'm sitting.
With the bottom corners now locked in, workers hinge the over 7-inch thick panel down to line up the top 2 corners.
Looks pretty good. No?
One corner is off by about a fraction of an inch. Now, they can't modify the custom-cut panel. Instead, they're bending one of the bolts.
It just doesn't quite fit right now. He's using this pipe to get it just right. Oh, look at this. It's coming down. It's coming down. Our Turkish blood brother knocking it out. Is he in? Is he in? You get it? Yeah? My boy's taking the crane off. So as you can see right there, the weight of this panel is now resting on the space frame. The arch is completed with 4 of the most amazing ironworkers I have ever had the privilege of hanging out with. This is Baku, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful.
Up next, to build Azerbaijan's tallest skyscraper,
We're going to the max.
Max every time.
one of the most mechanically advanced cranes on the planet.
Oh my God, I love this crane so much. It is such a weird little device.
Azerbaijan is known as the land of fire. And just 8 miles from the capital city of Baku, naturally occurring flames scorch the landscape.
Now, those flames were the result of huge underground deposits of natural gas and oil, which has powered the redevelopment of this nation. So, to commemorate that, at the very highest point in the city, they're building 3 enormous towers in the shape of flames.
3 miles from Baku's new cultural center, the world's first flame-shaped towers. Rising nearly 800 feet, these 3 skyscrapers are the tallest in the country. To give them the appearance of a flickering flame, architects designed curving facades covered in 18 acres of glass. But to lift the over 10,000 glass panels, workers have to contend with another force of nature: wind. Gusts off the Caspian Sea can reach 90 miles an hour.
The wind is ridiculous. I'm getting nailed with it right now, which means you have a tremendous amount of weight that's going to be pushing horizontally against these buildings.
Right, the wind loading on the building is the highest I've ever seen. It's higher than hurricane areas like South Florida, where I used to build. I mean, sometimes we lose 10 days out of the month because the wind is just so strong that the motors on the crane can't move the load.
Baku literally means wind pounded. This town gets hit with nonstop, powerful wind. And the one part of the flame towers that really has to deal with that wind are the glass panels. 10,000 individual massive panels that under normal circumstances would get hung with a tower crane. Big tall crane, super long cable, be a huge problem in the wind. So instead of using a tower crane, they're using this, something called the spider crane.
Outside, tower cranes swing with a fixed arm over 260 feet long, vulnerable to hurricane-force winds. The spider crane, however, is protected inside the tower. Only 9 feet from end to end, this is one of the most compact cranes in the world.
Ugur, it's really important because as we speak, right now, the tower cranes are all shut off.
Yes, yes.
The wind has exceeded a certain speed, and beyond that point, work is stopped.
Work stop.
But even on the windiest days in Baku, you can still hang panels.
Yes.
You see that? The spider crane cannot be stopped by wind. It doesn't fear the wind the way tower cranes do. I do have a question, though. Important question.
Okay.
It's called the spider crane. Why is there an image of a crab? What do you think? It's a crab.
Crab?
Isn't it a crab? Don't you think it's a...
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Is it possible this is actually the crab crane and someone mistakenly called it the spider crane?
No,
It's a spider crane.
by the crane.
All right, fine. You're insistent about that one. It's a spider crane. No one has to look at this anyway.
Forget everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a
We'll cover it up. Just don't disregard it. It's a spider. We'll just get a little marker, put a little. No one will see. Okay. So, is it difficult to drive?
No, it's so easy. Firstly, start your engine.
Start your engine. I love this guy. You said you don't speak English. You sound like you're doing IndyCar racing.
Basically like a tank, the spider crane glides along 2 8-inch wide
A
treads,
little 180 action here.
allowing a single operator to position it at the very edge of the tower.
All right, come on, spider crab.
Okay, it's good.
We're good.
It's good.
Spider crane is in position.
Yes.
So this is actually the single most exciting part of the process because this is when spider crane transforms from mobile spider crane into stationary spider crane. And to do so, it's going to get very spider-like.
The spider crane deploys 4 adjustable legs.
We're going to the max.
Max every time.
Ready for deployment.
Each leg extends out over 7 feet.
And this is actually happening. We're making the spider crane.
Unlike tower cranes, which balance their loads using counterweights in the rear, the spider crane relies on its low center of gravity. Standing just 5 feet tall and weighing half as much as one counterweight, it can teeter on the edge and lift a 2,000-pound glass panel without toppling over.
Here she comes.
Okay.
The full spider transformation.
With all 4 legs keeping it balanced, crews swing the boom outside of the tower.
Okay. Extend the boom, which I'm going to extend and retract. Oh my God, I thought of something else. Look at the color choices of all the instructions. Oh, are they black and red and blue, like the outfit of a certain superhero named
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker, he's absolutely right. This is not a crab crane, as the cartoon may have led us to believe falsely. It's obviously a spider crane. Okay, I'm deploying the spider boom right now. And what's also totally amazing, I attached a tiny camera to the edge of the boom. Check it out. Spidey cam out over the abyss.
To reduce the wind's impact, the spider boom extends just 3 feet beyond the building's threshold.
Okay, she's coming down, we're coming down.
The hook is then lowered to a glass team 1 floor below, where they operate the spider crane by remote control.
Push, 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 push. Oh, she's going, she's going. Oh, here comes spider crane.
Despite hugging the building,
Oh boy.
75-mile-an-hour gusts can still catch the 14-foot panels.
Hang on tight. Trolley's coming out.
Now, as you look at them fuss with this, you can imagine how much more challenging this would be if this piece of glass was suspended by a 200-foot-long cable. Making these minute adjustments would be almost impossible, given how much it would move in the wind.
Here we go. Here we go.
The precision controls of the spider crane allow the crew to maneuver with less than 1/4 of an inch of clearance.
Beautiful.
All while under the force of a Category 1 hurricane.
All right.
All right.
This team's record, 52 panels in 1 day.
The glass is in place, installed in 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yes. Spider crane is so important for us.
Nothing more I can say. Glass gets done, Baku is windy, none of it stops us. It's 2 words.
Spider crane.
I love it.
Up next, covering a curving interior the size of 7 football fields.
So you need a material you can bend.
With over 19,000 panels installed by hand.
Robert, it's heavy. It's heavy. Robert, it's heavy.
Azerbaijan is a predominantly Muslim nation, once home to nearly 2,000 mosques. But after 70 years of Soviet occupation, the country is left with just 18 remaining today. Baku's new cultural center is a contemporary reimagination of this country's ancient Islamic tradition.
So in a lot of ways, this building is a kind of modern reinterpretation of a historical element that was in the Azeri culture.
Yes. When you look at this region's traditional architecture, you see the ornamentation and frescoes on the ceiling and the walls and the floors. Everything flows into each other.
So if you look pre-Soviet at the history of the Azeri culture, you look at their carpets, their ceilings, their walls, there's a sense of continuousness, seamlessness. The pattern's going to go on forever.
Yeah, it symbolizes infinity and eternity of the universe.
Architects designed an undulating space frame roof from almost 60 miles of steel. Clad in over 16,000 white panels, it creates a continuous pattern that also created continuous problems for builders.
The roof of the cultural center is so complicated that quite literally nobody knows how to build it. Now, to figure it out, they've created a kind of on-site mock-up facility, which they affectionately call the graveyard. The reason is, each and every one of these attempts has failed. Color wasn't right, geometry wasn't tight enough, the gap didn't line up. So far, of all of these attempts, only one guy has pulled it off.
Each and every panel is different. Each and every panel has a curve in either direction. And to put them all together with the exact joints which is specified, that is where the challenge is.
So making a project of this size must be an enormous fabrication effort.
It's a nightmare. But I think we have solved it.
It took 2.5 years of experimentation to figure out how to create one smooth exterior surface. On the interior, crews face the same complex geometry, but on two separate surfaces. Both walls and ceilings curve and blend together, creating a facade that flows like fabric, with no hard edges or straight lines.
Here at the Cultural Center, there is a direct relationship between the curvature of the roof and the curvature of the ceiling. So if the roof bends over like this, well, that same space is created on the inside of the museum. The question then becomes, how do you sheetrock that? So, Hannes, when you think about sheetrocking your house, put up the studs, hang up the sheetrock, screw it in. And it goes really fast. Sheetrock, screw, paint it, skim it, done.
Yeah.
But this, in many respects, what you think is the easiest job, is one of the most complicated jobs in the entire project.
That was my first idea. I said, no, this will never be built because it looks like science fiction. Never, ever.
Right? It curves like this. In the library, it curves like that.
Yeah.
Over in the concert hall, it curves like this. All throughout the building, you have different twists and curves and bends that you have to follow.
Yeah. So you need a material you can bend.
So, Hannes, this is it. This is the material right here.
Yeah, this is the board.
The entire interior curved space, floor, wall, ceiling, up, down, left, and right is all being made out of this.
Yeah, we can show you how to bend it. All right, let's take it up.
So it's...
You go over there.
Yeah.
You turn it to the left, and I turn it right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to bend it in two directions.
In two directions. I come to you, and we do it like that.
Look at that. Normal sheetrock doesn't want to do this.
Engineers created a new material called FlexBoard.
Should I break it?
Yeah, let's see what's inside this thing.
While it does eventually break, a tight weave of fiberglass strands allows it to bend 3 times more than traditional sheetrock.
Okay.
Okay.
And my cherry picker. I have my super flexible sheetrock.
Absolutely. We can Robert take on board.
Robert needs to come with us. All right. Let's make floors become walls, Hannes. Let's go.
Crews have just begun, covering the nearly 500,000 square feet of wall and ceiling, an area the size of 7 football fields.
All right.
With every piece of FlexBoard installed by hand.
So now we are up in the curvature when the wall curves up to become the ceiling. And Hannes, what I find so amazing is I look at the sheetrock, it's like almost a collage of different pieces.
Yeah.
A rectangle, a trapezoid, a triangle, I'll cut parallelograms. Each one's going to be a different shape.
Yes, it is. The more the curve, the smaller you have to cut the board.
While this curve requires a custom cut for every piece.
Okay, there we go.
The top bends at a relatively gentle 20-degree slope.
This is going to be awkward.
Allowing the crew to use a whole 8-foot-long, 4-foot-wide panel.
Okay, now we need your help. You have to go down, go down.
Follow the line, I got you.
Follow the what? Go
Follow
down.
the line.
All right, and go.
Go.
All right. So Robert starts screwing over there.
All right, Robert, it's heavy.
It's heavy? Come on, he's not heavy. He's not
Look
that
at the
heavy.
size of you, Hannes. You're like a German mountain goat.
No, I'm Bavarian, by the way.
You're a Bavarian mountain
I'm
goat.
Bavarian, yes.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it's held up.
It's fixed. Just have to hold it.
I'll pop a couple of those puppies in there.
Once in position, crews fix each piece to aluminum brackets hung from the space frame.
Nice.
FlexBoard sacrifices strength for flexibility. At half the thickness of typical sheetrock, it requires a second layer to make it more durable.
This does give you a sense of absolutely how brutal it's going to be to cover each and every inch of this place with this sheetrock. I mean, come on, this is not going to be easy.
See? All right.
When this team finishes in 3 months, they will have covered the space with over 19,000 pieces of FlexBoard. Laid end to end, they would stretch over 28 miles.
So, Hannes, when it's all said and done, it's going to feel like one continuous white curving shape that wraps the inside of the entire building.
It's a unique building in a unique city, definitely.
I promise you, this will be an experience. This will be a space unlike any you've ever seen before.
Up next, atop the country's tallest tower, climbing to the very tip of the flame.
Be careful. Yes, absolutely. Okay, the ladder rung broke. It's not like I'm climbing on the edge of a building. That'd be really dangerous.
But first, what was the very first application of a space frame? The answer after the break. Here is your trivia answer. Alexander Graham Bell first utilized a space frame in 1900, attempting to make a lighter flying machine. The liberation of Azerbaijan from the Soviet Union was not a peaceful process. In 1990, a year before the fall of the Soviet Union, hundreds of thousands of Azeris got together to protest for their independence.
Between the Azerbaijani militants who'd taken control of the city.
That night, Soviet tanks rolled into the city and opened fire.
On the streets of Baku, Moscow's patience snapped.
They killed 137 civilians. In commemoration of that event, they tore down a Soviet monument and built this. It's called Martyrs Lane, where they recognize each and every person killed that day. And at the very end of this lane is a flame that burns eternally in their remembrance. Thousands of Azeris visit this flame every year, honoring those who fought for Azerbaijan's freedom. Now, 20 years later, the country is celebrating their independence with a different kind of symbol, by building the tallest towers in the entire region.
The first thing you notice is that you can see these towers from everywhere in the city.
Oh, yes, that's for sure. I mean, I can still remember that moment when I first saw that rendering, and I said, you know, I want to go build that. I think it's going to be that special.
And you're also doing it in a place that was just recently a part of the Soviet Union. There wasn't a tradition for building this kind of architecture here in Baku.
We're trying to bring to Baku an iconic building. It's going to put Baku on the map.
While the lower 39 stories of the building are made from concrete, the top needs to emulate the movement of a flickering flame. So architects designed a 100-foot-tall crown made from steel. But where the two materials intersect presents a unique challenge for the builders.
The challenge is, how do you connect a steel structure to a concrete base? Because as you might know, you can't weld steel to solid concrete. It just won't stick. So the solution is to insert into the very tops of the final 11 columns a massive steel plate to help make that connection. And this right here is that plate. So this lets us change the structure. This is how we go from a concrete building
to steel.
To a steel building.
Yes.
And so all of this steel I'm looking at, this whole stake essentially, gets inserted in. When we're all done, we're left with a flat steel plate.
Yes, we put the anchorage inside the column and pour in concrete and lock the anchorage.
On the 39th floor of the third tower, the final 11 steel anchors, weighing 1,200 pounds apiece, are embedded into the top of each concrete column, giving workers a steel base to support the over 500-ton flick.
So basically the building from here down, total concrete building.
Concrete.
And then from this line up, pure steel.
Pure steel.
And today we're going to put this where we're putting it up there?
Yes.
Jeez, that's high.
To install each anchor, iron workers have to climb onto temporary scaffolding perched 550 feet off the ground.
So just to be clear, we're going up on the edge. No handrail, no nothing. Let's get safe. Let's get safe. Okay.
Are you ready?
What's going on here? You get dressed in the morning, you have help too? And like, your shoes tied too? Let me check. Let me check your shoes.
Check, check.
Who cut your goatee? You have help in the morning doing this too? This is amazing. You're like a magician from the Renaissance. I love it.
Every morning I shave it and like 3 musketeers.
3 musketeers?
Every morning.
You're 3 musketeers. What were their names? It was D'Artagnan?
Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan.
I'm so not surprised you knew that instantly.
Whoa.
All right, I'll be Athos, you be Porthos. Let's go find D'Artagnan up there.
Yes, let's go.
Okay. Everything's cool.
Each anchor is over 4 feet tall.
Look out, lift it up.
They're hoisted to the concrete columns by a tower crane. The crew, however, gets there the old-fashioned way.
Okay, let's head up.
Be careful.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Seriously, guys? Oh, the ladder rung broke. Okay, then it's fine. It's not like I'm climbing for somewhere dangerous on the edge of a building. That'd be really dangerous. Come on, ladder.
20 feet up,
Come on,
at the very top of the column, a dense mesh of rebar has got to be removed to make room for the anchor.
Okay, so,
That ridiculous process was in order to cut the tops of the rebar off so we can guarantee ourselves a perfectly flat surface in which to put down the anchorage. Okay, do you have a good surface now?
Yes, ready. Ready, let's go.
And right there, coming in, there she is. There's the embedment. Come to Papa. There's something incredibly medieval about this.
Each anchor is outfitted with 20 steel spikes.
Okay, we got it.
That'll be tied to the rebar cage inside of the column, locking the anchor in place.
Coming up and over. Where's she going? We're losing her. We're losing her. Okay. Okay, she's coming down. Coming down. Look at this. This is it. We're basically inserting a needle. And this makes all the sense in the world. Once this anchorage comes down, what do you see? A massive steel top. This is what the entire flick, the whole neck steel structure, gets anchored to. Okay. Oh, yep. And down.
Each anchor has to be perfectly level before it can become a permanent part of the tower.
What's the problem? Stuck?
Yes, cutting here.
More cutting.
Right now, a 5-inch piece of rebar stands in the way.
Here we go. Here we go. What do you think?
Finish it.
Done.
Done. No.
Level. Happy.
I'm so happy now.
Well, the steel piece is finally in place, and we have done it, as only 3 musketeers and D'Artagnan only could. And as they say, one for all.
All for one.
And all for one. We did it. Steel's in place.
Coming up,
There she is.
building one of the most advanced concert halls in the world.
So leaving the basket.
In a space with some of the world's most challenging acoustics.
Tied to something. So assuming if the panel goes, I'll go with it.
Baku is the cultural epicenter of Azerbaijan, and music is one of its biggest attractions. The city has more concert halls per square mile than London. Now, the new cultural center is adding a state-of-the-art 1,200-seat venue, one of the biggest in the city, and the first in the world to be built just 200 feet from a library.
So we are standing in the auditorium.
Yes.
Now, tell me a bit about the idea of a concert hall inside of a building that has a library, because there is something funny about someone very quietly reading a book while next door there's a very heavy-set woman singing opera.
Definitely.
And the two never know what's going on.
Definitely. So we have to get rid of the sound noise. We call it sound isolation, noise control. In auditorium, we need to cut the sound, so they use very thick concrete walls so that no sound will pass through the auditorium.
So the concert hall is actually a building inside of another building.
Definitely. We call it box-in-box construction.
The concert hall is a contained box, separated from the library by 6 soundproof walls, made from 25-inch thick concrete and a 130,000 square foot layer of rock wool insulation. Inside the box, architects wanted the floor, walls, and ceiling wrapped by more than 280 interlocking oak panels. The only concert hall in the world to be clad entirely in wood.
Hello, Melik, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Good, welcome.
So, Melik, now I've been to many performance halls. I've seen orchestras, I've seen operas, I've seen speeches. I've never seen a performance hall that looks like this one.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a sculpture.
Yeah. It is like a sculpture.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it is incredible. God, look at this wood. This is like the lines of a sports car.
Yeah.
These like incredibly smooth curves. I mean, it looks almost like liquid, like the waves peel up and fold up like that.
Yeah, it's very amazing. Of course, it's a very hard technique because you're manufacturing piece by piece.
So the trick is that when you assemble these very large individual pieces, it feels as if the whole auditorium itself was carved from a solid block of wood.
Right.
While an all-wood interior creates a sculptural look, it limits sound engineers with a single acoustic environment. A challenge, since this is a multifunctional venue, designed for live orchestras, opera, and speeches.
And each of those different kinds of performance have different acoustical needs.
Yes. For speech, you need a little bit dead space. You don't want too much excessive reverberation because the speech intelligibility is very important.
Right.
But the music means longer reverberation time. You want a live space for music.
A live space.
Yes.
Because you want to have that full, rich sound all throughout the performance hall.
Right.
So the question is, how then do you accomplish both seemingly opposing goals in one single space?
Yes. Our solution is a concept called coupled spaces.
Coupled spaces.
Right.
The bigger the space, the more sound reverberates, creating echoes ideal for music, but problematic for speeches. So by designing a coupled space hidden above the ceiling, 15 feet of additional room is used to modulate the reverb. For concerts, retractable wood panels swing open, creating a live room with 1 second of extra reverb. For speeches, they close, cutting reverb in half, deadening the room. Today, crews are hanging the second retractable panel, over 1,500 pounds suspended from the ceiling.
Let's go to the heavens.
Unable to fit a crane inside, they hoist the panel 50 feet using a cable system.
Hello, boys!
To a team of 4 workers inside the coupled space.
Oh, boy. So leaving the basket, going to the ceiling. Let's see how we're doing this.
Each 8-foot wide panel is hollowed out in the back,
Come up over here.
providing a precariously narrow workspace.
Yes, we'll tie to something. So assuming if the panel goes, I'll go with it.
And since the panels are suspended from a cable system, they sway with every step.
Oh, boy, that's great. Okay, so, from where I'm standing, you can really understand how this coupled space concept works. Below me is the main auditorium, the concert hall, and above me is this secondary coupled space. And in order to connect them to change the volume, you operate a movable flap like this, guys, shall we? Flap pulls back, exposes one space to the next, and radically changes the sound of the concert hall. Up and over. Yep. All right.
Workers attach each panel to 20-foot-long tension cables, one every 2.5 feet.
Lock that puppy up.
Keeping this massive 20-foot panel suspended and level, fitting flush to the adjacent piece.
So, as this tightens right here, the cord gets tense, which means the weight of this wood panel is now being suspended from the ceiling.
It takes 24 tension cables to support just a single panel. The final 281 panels will require over 15 miles of the stuff.
So as you see right there, the straps are coming off, which means the piece is hanging and is affixed to the permanent ceiling. And as you look around and see this tension cable, all these buckles, all this hidden structure, it gives you a sense of just how much goes on behind the scenes in order to create this amazing architectural form that you actually do get to see.
Coming up,
we're gonna install the very top of the flick.
Yes. Making fire out of steel
Good luck, my friend.
means climbing to the very top of the city.
The legit Turkish Spider-Man right there. That is sick.
Last year, the city of Baku unveiled the tallest flagpole ever built, flying the world's largest flag. But now, this symbol of independence is about to be surpassed by an even taller icon, the Flame Towers, topped by an over 500-ton steel crown that emulates a flickering flame.
The flick of the flame is created by assembling massive individual steel sections. And today, we're gonna put the highest piece of steel on the very top of the flick with this piece right here.
Construction of the Flick of the Flame is at a historic milestone, as the first of 3 crowns nears completion. Once the steel framework is clad in over 400 glass panels, this 100-foot-high vaulted space will become a landmark restaurant for Baku.
So Tamar, the 24 feet of steel that we have in front of us, that relates to this piece right there.
Yes, absolutely.
We're gonna install this entire piece, and after that point, all you have left to do is put that half piece right here, the very top of the flick.
Yes, correct.
You're almost done.
Almost done.
All right, so what we're gonna do is actually pretty phenomenal. With the straps now in place, we're gonna attach a camera to the top of the column. So as the crane picks it up, we're gonna give you a view looking straight down as it travels almost 700 feet above Baku. All right, let's get this puppy cooked up here.
With the camera securely attached,
settings look right.
The tower crane lifts the 5-ton steel column off the ground.
There it goes. The camera is rolling, column's going up, so now we are gonna go beat it to the top. Let's get up there, baby, here we go.
Up at the top, over 500 curving pieces of steel are supported by a latticework of scaffolding.
Oh man, that is high up.
To reach the tip of the flame,
here we go.
Crews have to climb through it, up 65 feet of ladders.
There's not a single human higher than me in Azerbaijan at the moment, except for those dudes up there. Hello, fellas. Hello.
At over 680 feet,
okay,
5 ironworkers install the steel column.
My name is Danny. How are you? Fine.
Crowding together on a narrow wooden platform just 5 feet wide.
All right, that right there is the piece we're continuing. That's the outside column at the edge of the flick. We're going to extend this column now over 20 feet up to almost the very top of this building. Here she comes. Look at our camera. Still there.
The tower crane hoists the 24-foot steel column just a few feet away from the side of the building.
That is amazing, isn't it?
Traveling this close to the building keeps it out of the strong Baku wind, but poses a threat to the curving glass facade.
All right, this is where things get intense. We've gotten the column up to the right height, now we got to get into the position, and this involves guys pulling steel over our bodies. That is sick.
Perched 120 feet up, the tower crane lacks the precision needed to line up the bolts.
Let's get a bolt here.
No, other side.
Requiring crews to position the 5-ton piece by hand.
It's coming down a little bit. So I'm going to use this piece to thread both holes and get us lined up. That's a happy place right there. Okay, lock it up. Woo! All right, with these 4 bolts now lined up and affixed, that means the previous column is now perfectly lined up with this column. So the next and final step is to weld it together. Lock it up, baby. Lock it up. So I have an important question. Yeah. Who's going to get my camera down? Camera?
Oh, okay. Mohammed.
Yes.
Mohammed will go.
Good luck, my friend. Oh, you're a brave man. Oh, Mohammed, I'm sorry.
Still filming at almost 700 feet.
The legit Turkish Spider-Man right there.
Mohammed has to climb on the very edge of the tower with only 2-inch wide scaffolding for support.
Oh, he's got it. He's got hands on it.
Mohammed!
Okay. Amazing. This camera just had a ridiculous ride going up 675 feet alongside one of the most amazing new towers in Baku. Got trapped. Mohammed made the valiant and bold rescue. You're a real rock star. Thank you.
When finished, the flame towers will stand not only as a statement of national pride, but also as a symbol for a new identity. Joining the Haydar Aliyev Cultural Center as the first steps in a $6 billion a year transformation.
So tell me 10 years from now when I come back to visit Baku, what is your hope that these new buildings have done to transform this place?
The whole purpose was empowering the individual, lifting him up. So being inside those curvatures, suddenly somebody struck and say, I can be these buildings. Wow, this is me.
So the idea isn't just building monuments to Azeri history or the Azeri past, but it's the idea of a place that can actually create a different Azeri future.
Exactly. If you create this space where creativity is nurtured, a society where there is creativity, you have a future.
After centuries of living under the influence of other people's ideas, cultures, and governments, the people of Azerbaijan finally have the space to choose. Who do they want to be as a people? What kind of city do they want to live in? And maybe most importantly, what kind of culture do they want to create for themselves? And to figure that out, they're making buildings. And they're doing it with curves that no one has ever seen before. And I think what's most exciting is that these projects don't represent an answer of what Azeri culture is, but rather the beginning of a question of what this new culture could be.